What's up guys, Jake here, JakesGotHerps, not to confuse the herpes. Herpes is nasty, and in this video I wanted to do a Kenyan sand boa care guide because I just had my Kenyan sand boa out, just kind of handling him a little bit, and I wanted to make a care guide for you guys because this is definitely one of my favorite species of snakes. Just the way they hunt and their adaptations for hunting is very unique, and it's something interesting to observe. As you can see, their eyes, if you can see that at all. I'm not using my light in this video. I don't like shining the bright light right in their face. But as you can see, their eyes are right on the top of their head, which they use to stick their head out of the substrate and ambush prey that is, wandering by unaware that this snake is watching them and potentially going to eat them. And they're a really cool looking snake. They have a lot of different color variations, although I still like the normals the best. I just like the orange and black contrast. Other color mutations include aneries, albinos, snows, stripes, all those different kind of things are all available, and they're all very affordable, so you can definitely pick, whichever you like. As far as size goes for these guys, they are extremely small boa, one of the smallest. A very big female maybe could get up to 3 feet in length, which is still very unlikely. 18 to 24 inches for an adult is much more likely. This is a juvenile right here. The snake's been around this size for almost a year now, just a very small, easy to handle snake. As far as temperament goes, a lot of people say they're a nippy snake, and they can be, I guess, if you handle them the wrong way. When you're approaching them, you don't want to approach them from above, because in the wild, that's where their prey is going to be, wandering above them, and that's when they'll ambush them. And if you're mistaken for food, that can obviously be the cause for a bite. But if you scoop them up, if you kind of scoop your hand into the substrate like I did, as you can see, I have some aspen on my fingers, but you kind of want to scoop them up, and then they'll be perfectly fine once you get them out. In my experience, most Kenyan sand boas are all very tame. So now let's move on to the enclosure. The enclosure I'm using, this is a 16-quart Sterilite tub, I believe. An adult male would probably be fine in here, although, Sterilite bins are all very cheap. You can afford to be, you can afford to give them a larger enclosure if you're going this route. I would go a 28-quart minimum for an adult female, and this is probably fine for an adult male. As far as setting the enclosure up, obviously you want your enclosure to have good ventilation, whether that's an aquarium or a Sterilite bin. You want a lot of air holes because they are from an arid environment. They don't like a lot of humidity. As far as substrate goes, this is kind of a controversial topic because a lot of people say they are Kenyan sand boas. They have sand in the name, so I should keep them on sand. And you can do that. I've seen a lot of people keep them on sand with not a lot of ill side effects. In the wild, they come from more of a dirty, sandy dirt substrate rather. Than just pure sand, but even sand would probably be okay. I would tend to avoid it though, just because it doesn't hold burrows very well at all. If you're gonna go that route, the more natural route, I would tend to go towards more like a dirt sand mix. That way it holds burrows better. I use this shredded aspen because it holds burrows extremely well, especially this very fine shredded stuff holds burrows very well, and it's a lot cleaner, easier to maintain. It absorbs urates and poop a lot better, and it's easier to just spot clean. You don't want to go, the really cheap route and use paper towels or newspaper because they're not gonna, be able to do their natural behaviors, which is burrowing on that kind of substrate. So my recommendation is shredded aspen. If you want to use sand, I would, ask for the recommendation of somebody else who has used it before. I don't use it, and I probably won't because this stuff is just great, and I use it for a lot of my other snakes as well, so there's no reason not to utilize it. I also keep a small water dish in here. A lot of people don't keep a water dish in 24/7 because they're worried about humidity issues, having it too high. You want below 20% humidity, and keeping a big water dish in at all times. With low ventilation can raise the humidity higher than that, but if you have a well-ventilated enclosure, there's no reason not to put a small water dish in 24/7. I'm just using the small deli cup. And when you put your sand boa in its enclosure, it will obviously start to burrow. They're very natural burrowers rather. And it's just a really cool thing to watch them do. You won't see your Kenyan sand boa a whole lot other than feeding So if you want a snake you are constantly seeing, move around the enclosure, this is probably not the snake for you. But if you do enjoy, watching a more natural behavior, this is a good option for you. And their feeding response is very good. As far as feeding them goes, a lot of the times they can be a little bit picky and they will only want to eat live prey items, but even that's not a huge deal other than the availability. You don't have to worry about live pinky mice harming your animal because pinky mice cannot, they don't have teeth, they can't bite, and they will die within 24 hours without their mother, so you don't have to worry about that. I got mine switched to frozen thaw. It's not an extremely difficult process at all, really. So that's as far as feeding goes. Like I said, humidity you want around 20% or lower is good. And as far as heating goes, I'm using an under tank heat mat because it's more energy efficient. I'm using this with a thermostat that keeps the enclosure around 90 degrees on the hot side, which is good. You can also use overhead heat sources. A lot of people don't recommend these, but I figure it's fine because that's more natural, to be honest. Heat comes from the sun, and to escape the heat they will burrow down further, which just is more natural. You can use both. I've used both with no problem. I just prefer to this because it's more energy efficient, like I said. So hopefully this answers all of your questions about Kenyan sand boas and how to take care of them. They're a really great snake, and I definitely recommend you guys to get one if you want a cool boa that doesn't get quite as large as a Colombian or something along those lines. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It helps me out a lot, and I will see you guys later. Peace.